McDonald's workers have read it. Which menu item would you never eat? Former health inspector here. The food is fine. Drink machines and ice chutes at fast food restaurants are where you don't want to look too hard. I used to work in fast food, and we were never unaware an inspection was going to happen. A lot of cleaning happened in the days leading up to them. It actually made me more wary of visiting establishments who failed. Like, how do you manage to mess up that badly? Worked at Popeyes for over 6 months. Never saw the ice machine cleaned once. Once in a while, we cleaned the exterior of the drink machines. Yikes. At Jimmy John's 16 years ago, this was a must for the nightly closing procedure. Soak the plastic components, nozzle, and aerator agitator in hot soap water while we cleaned the rest of the shop. I work at a restaurant, and I make sure every night I close, about 3 to 4 nights a week, the soda nozzles go through the dish pit before they shut down. I used to be a bartender. I started working at a shitty bar, and during my training, I asked, "So I assume I just break down the gun nozzles and soak them overnight? Where's the bucket?" And the owner just kind of looked at me, puzzled, and was like, "Oh, I don't think those come apart." I raised an eyebrow, went over and grabbed a nozzle, twisted it, and pulled hard. What I found was about an inch of thick mold inside, with little holes where the soda would shoot through it into the drinks. The mold had also started to work its way up inside the lines in the handle. I used to work at a Chicken Express down in Texas. My boss was adamant about cleaning the drink fountain every single night. I'd worked in half a dozen other fast food places at that point, and I didn't even know the nozzles came apart. I always pull a random nozzle at restaurants, and if I find mold, I take it to the front counter. The cleanest places I've found are IKEA. Their fountains were spotless before they switched over to the all-in-one machines. They still might be. I just don't know how to disassemble those nozzles. The sweet tea. Besides the fact there is an ungodly amount of sugar in it, they are supposed to have a liner in the sweet tea container that's supposed to get changed out for every new batch. It almost never gets changed, or they just don't use a liner at all and don't clean the container regularly. So you end up with a ton of bacteria from the sugar and the tea just sitting there in a non-chilled container that never gets cleaned. That's why sometimes you get skunky tea that tastes a little funny and maybe gives you the runs. Not worth it. I don't work there anymore, but I used to work for McDonald's UK. At the one I worked at, I would never eat the fillet of fish, not because it was bad product. I just knew that you had to cook between 2 and 5 to get the temperatures at 11 a.m., and then they'd sit in the cabinet for hours. The next closest store to us, however, was a lot closer to my hometown's Muslim populations, and the fillet was really popular. It's the only halal meat option. Sometimes, they'd get through 20 or more an hour. It was a my store issue, but I know that it's the case for lots of other stores. HVACR guy here. If you see the inside of an ice machine, you'll never get ice again at a NY restaurant. Daughter of a refrigeration mechanic. When I got in trouble as a teen, one of his many punishments was that my dad would make me clean customers' ice cream machines and whipped cream machines, lasting impressions and smells. Always check your ice before you add soda to it at the self-serve machines. If you see specks, you're done. Walk away. And if you're at one of those really cool new Coke machines that make 50 flavors, if it smells, then it's not getting cleaned, and it probably has piles of mold and slime where you can't immediately see it. Reading about an unclean McDonald's is just crazy to me. The one I worked at 35 plus years ago, for 2 years, was so clean that you could practically eat off the floor. I see people mentioning the drink machines and ice makers. We did full teardowns and deep cleaning of those and other equipment every single night without question. It is the reason I still choose them for a quick meal while traveling. Cleaning was ingrained in us to the point that I still have the habits I developed while working there. Clean as you go. And if you have time to lean, you have time to clean, were literal mantras while clocked in. You're not the only one to say this, whereas others make it sound absolutely horrific. It seems like it very much depends on the individual store and/or manager. This was very much my experience. I worked at 2 separate stores in the same city. One had a death trap floor, chicken nuggets the color of burnt caramel, and the trap's corners probably had 5 new species of mole growing in it. The other had crystal clear fryers, glistening floors, and a general hint of cleaner to it almost at all times. Different managers, entirely different stores. Used to work there for 2 years. Filet-O-fish, hands down. Unless you explicitly ask for it to be cooked to order, there is a 90% chance that fish patty has been sitting in the heated cabinet for hours, slowly turning into leather. Also, the tartar sauce gun never gets cleaned properly. Just don't do it. Never worked in the McDonald's, but here in the UK, we have a food hygiene rating system run by local authorities in every place that sells or handles food, including schools, care homes. People making cakes out of their own kitchen will be given one. Lean is the worst. Basically, fix it or you're getting shut down, with 5 being as perfect as is reasonably possible in terms of temperature control, paperwork, food safety, even bins and stuff out the back being tidy, cleaned, and close so vermin can't get in. Local authority inspectors will turn up totally unannounced at random times to do a check. Every single McDonald's in the UK has a rating of 5, and any that get lower have management come down on them like a ton of shit to fix everything before a recheck. No one is claiming it to be haute cuisine, but they're certainly clean. The breakfast steak is the only item on the menu that I will refuse to eat. I'm not sure exactly what sort of cut of meat it is, but it's definitely not steak. It's a bunch of chipped beef pieces pressed together. Just don't ask what part of the cow it's all from. This isn't really a MCDS issue, but restaurants in general. Never use ketchup, mustard, if it comes out of a refillable container. You used to see these all the time at fast food places, including Burger King, which is where my story comes from. But nowadays, they usually use disposable ones, which is good. If you see a refillable one, do not use it. Reason being is that long ago, when I worked at a Burger King, we had these and all we ever did was tap them off. Never washed them out, just tapped them off. So the ketchup at the bottom got older and older and older. One day, we get a new manager who apparently had seen this before, and immediately took all the ketchup bottles and started cleaning them out. The sludge at the bottom looked like alien life forms more than ketchup. My dog refuses to eat McDonald's chicken nuggets. She will eat a fry, so it's not the oil. Any other chicken nugget is fine. Crumbs on the floor, garbage, whatever, but she will draw a McDonald's nugget right out of her mouth. I stopped eating them too. They used to have grilled chicken. One time the freezer broke and we didn't notice. The grilled chicken melted. Like weird. It's probably blended chicken and meat glue. The ice cream machine. Not because of the ice cream. I worked at Burger King as a kid and yeah, just caked on crud and lubricant all over the inside of every machine. Pests. I worked at McDonald's in the 90s, long time ago. But honestly, it was a well-run establishment. We really tried to be by the book with everything. Now the product quality is a different story. But from a hygiene standpoint, everything was cleaned every night, cooked to a certain temperature, thrown out if it was past time. Don't work there anymore, but I would avoid the items that are ordered less frequently, like grilled chicken or fillet of fish, outside of Lent, especially during slow hours. Items are cooked in batches and stored in warmers. This is fine for stuff like burgers and chicken nuggets because they generally go pretty fast, even in off hours. but I've seen a batch of grilled chicken go for hours before it runs out. I think they're supposed to toss them after 2 hours, but that never happened even once while I worked there.